What's going on, everyone? My name is Nicholas Merton here at DataDash, and today is September 2nd of 2020. Well, folks, I hope you all are having a fantastic day wherever you are. And in today's video, I want to talk about how in crypto, there are two worlds right now. There are the broader cryptocurrencies that most people know and love. They're on the majority of exchanges out there, where the majority of the liquidity is. But also there's this emerging world of craziness that's formulating within the DeFi world and the world of decentralized exchanges, and more specifically, automated market makers like Uniswap. So we're going to be talking about this as we go throughout the video, but I want to go ahead and dive right into it. We've got so much to discuss, guys. It's going to be a really interesting episode, so stay tuned. So taking a look here just over the last 24 hours here, we can see that not only have the broader major cryptocurrencies here doing well, Ethereum leading up nearly 6% over the last 24 hours, but along with that as well, broader cryptocurrency markets in kind of a no-trend scenario, slightly pushing negative here, more players in the red. But again, after a relatively good set of days here in price action for Ethereum and a lot of major market plays across the board. So I want to go ahead and dive into this. I mean, you can already start to see here, one of them right here, DFI.money, up 127%. Again, guys, I don't want you to FOMO into anything. Just please stick with me here, and I want to go ahead and try to explain a little bit of context into what's going on here. I know some of you out there have been like, I just don't get this DeFi stuff, and I want to go ahead and lay it to you guys straight right away as we go throughout the video. So first off, one thing that I do want to kind of like pride myself on is sometimes I'll be going through and I'll be typing in like ETHUSD on TradingView. I'll usually have certain pairs I like to use, but I accidentally clicked on the Bitfinex pair here. And this was a chart that we had put back in one of our articles a while back for the Dash report in this case. And if you guys are interested, you can always check it out. There's a link down below in the description. But this was a chart we did when we talked about Ethereum as a general kind of asset moving forward. And, in this paragraph, I think it summed it up really good. Over the past year, really since back in, kind of April to July of 2019, I'd had the idea for Digifox, my smart wallet that I've been working on, which is built on top of Ethereum. And, I started to see all this stuff coming together, decentralized exchanges, started to see the kind of decentralized lending pools and also centralized lending pools that are offered high yields. In this case, getting that 90% discount from ETH's highs, which was what I called basically the golden range, this was an optimal time to get in. Now, I know a lot of people who maybe aren't invested in Ether or maybe have some investments in Ether, like, okay, Nick, it's up at 476 now, much higher than that range. A lot of people are going to be asking, is it too late for ETH? And I'd say, guys, if you really just want my honest take, and I can speak to it with where I'm positioned in the market, no, I really don't feel we're anywhere close. Again, you have to determine for yourself, but for me personally, I think we're just getting started on this cycle, guys. To keep in mind here as well, when we got up into this range last time, this is when we really accelerated ETH's price here. We went all the way from around basically where we are right now, kind of mid-upper $400 range, up to $1,400 in a matter of 2 months. Just these 2 months right here, where a major chunk of ETH's price action happened. And I believe we're going to blow beyond that in this cycle. Same with Bitcoin, same with most cryptocurrency assets that have been here for a while. And you can see here on the SMS indicator, ETH is showing 5 points of confidence here. It has not been this bullish in years since back in the previous cycle. So this is really good to see here, guys. Again, not doing anything overly complicated. We looked for the 90% discount. It's the bottom of the bear market. We got a double bottom here, right? We had the bottom back here in November 2018 and here in March of 2020. And now we're accelerating. We're starting the beginning phases of the new cycle. We're not even close to topping out for this market. But what we are seeing is a slight pivot and a slight kind of, I think, taste of what we're going to see over the next 2 years and how crazy things are going to be in the world of DeFi. Now, as you all probably saw, if you watched my last video, I talked about an automated market maker or decentralized exchange or DEX, whatever label you want to use, called Uniswap. And many of you have probably heard about Uniswap, whether it's through articles, maybe you've tried out Uniswap yourself. It is by far right now not only the most used, but the most successful decentralized application that has come onto the market. And the ironic thing is that it is extremely simple comparative to other DEX models and other decentralized exchange systems. There's no token involved. Uniswap itself is just basically a smart contract people interact with or adapt that functions as intended. And the great thing is that so long as Ethereum as a network is up, Uniswap is purring along. The gears are running in this case. It's going great. So let's just go ahead and take a quick step back here, guys, because I understand some people might be a bit confused about this. So before we talk about the crazy numbers and how they've climbed since we talked, whether it be the liquidity that's deposited on the platform or the volume, for those who don't know what Uniswap is more commonly known as a decentralized exchange, but a term that's actually more specific and goes about explaining it a bit better is an automated market maker. Now, what this means is that the way that Uniswap functions is that it provides a platform where people can be what's known as liquidity providers, similar to maybe market makers on traditional exchanges on an order book. On Uniswap, there is no order book. And the way that it works in this case is that people can deposit an equal amount of Ethereum and a specific token into a certain pair in this case, or they can do two altcoins. They could do USD Tether, which is another ERC20 token, against maybe another stable coin or an altcoin that you like on the Ethereum network, right? And this allows for people to not only earn, because Uniswap charges 0.3% on top of all trade volume, this allows these liquidity providers to earn on capital that's just sitting there. But along with this, it provides a market where you can now very simply interact with a smart contract and swap in and out of different tokens, whether it be Ether or ERC20 tokens. And if this wasn't great enough, right? We already saw that this was growing over time. We'd gotten up from, just a couple, I think we can get the statistic here. The liquidity says $18, wasn't this? It was around 18 million. But because of the recent growth and Uniswap, it's accelerated all the way to around 300 million. But something happened back about a week ago. And that was the creation of SushiSwap. Now, we're going to go ahead and we'll dive into some other things here, but I want to go ahead and talk a little bit about this. Again, guys, do not feel you need to FOMO into any of this, okay? A lot of this is extremely speculative, but I want to go ahead and just kind of detail what's been going on here with SushiSwap. So everyone's kind of talking about SushiSwap, if you've heard about it, trying to rival or unseat Uniswap as a protocol. And I don't know if I completely agree with this statement, but we're going to go ahead and talk about how SushiSwap has been able to take Uniswap's liquidity from $300 million in assets to $1.9 billion, seeding almost towards $2 billion in assets. Now, bear in mind some of the assets on this platform have just generally grown. It's a fair thing to mention. We've talked about that with total value locked in DeFi protocols. Can be a bit misleading, but the vast majority of this is new liquidity. You can see that by the amount of Ether on the pair, the Ether on the Uniswap protocol. So, what is SushiSwap? Well, if you take a look at this Medium article they released back on August 26th, this explains it pretty well. Basically, SushiSwap saw this really interesting opportunity. There's already a pretty good incentive to park your capital on liquidity pools and become a liquidity provider on Uniswap because you earn 0.3% of all fees generated. If there's a lot of trading volume, at the end of the year, you can actually make a really good annualized return, even considering a metric known as impermanent loss, which is basically the inevitable loss of some returns on your crypto by being a liquidity provider. Putting that aside here, SushiSwap saw the idea of creating a sort of kind of governance or cryptocurrency token, if you will, that they would grant to liquidity providers as a portion of their reward for staking liquidity in certain pairs. So in this case, again, building off of Uniswap, we'll go ahead and I'll just jump down here. This is probably the most simple way to explain it. Let's say that you had a lot of Tether and a lot of Ethereum. And as an incentive to try to get people to park both of those altcoins onto Uniswap, the SushiSwap protocol would give you sushi tokens. Now, again, I know a lot of people are going to wonder, what do sushi tokens do? Like, what's the utility? And the crazy thing is, guys, is it really doesn't have too much utility. You could say that, the price is going up, or maybe people are staking it to earn more sushi. Guys, there is no real net benefit to sushi in this case. It's just basically a speculative vehicle that helps to offset some of the impermanent loss, or kind of one of the flaws with traditional automated market makers like Uniswap. You can see here in this case, there's a few things, right? There's the sushi token. You can deposit, basically funds into the liquidity pool. This is the Master Chef or the SushiSwap website in this case, where you actually earn sushi. And Sushi Maker allows you to collect revenues, convert to sushi, and send to the sushi bar. And the sushi bar is where you stake sushi and earn more sushi. So, to be honest, guys, let me go ahead and put it straight here. What we're seeing here is a very interesting experiment, but it would be naive to not say that this is a little bit of, I wouldn't say per se, I would say not a Ponzi, but a greater fool theory in this case. It's this idea of constantly, betting that there are going to be more and more people coming into providing liquidity, because when this stops out, and you can see here over the last few hours, we've seen the overall value not growing in this case, right? We just started the new day here technically with the time zone that Uniswap is using. But it's kind of slowed down since last night when I was traveling actually and watching the numbers grow at an accelerated pace. It seems like right now we might get a little bit of a pullback here. So don't FOMO in to the sushi token. Do your due diligence, do proper risk management if you're going to trade it. But the crazy thing is, there's just like a mass amount of liquidity on this token, as well as a whole range of new tokens that are now in above tens of millions of dollars in liquidity. I mean, this is just absolutely fascinating, guys. I think it's just cool to see this kind of liquidity and the volume on DEXs up to nearly almost $1 billion yesterday. This alone, in this past day, we eclipsed the volume the previous, I think it was about pretty much the previous month of Uniswap volume, if you can believe it. So, crazy stuff, guys. Now, I want to go ahead and talk about a few of the key trades here that we've talked about, guys. I know I've talked a lot about kind of like what's going on with the DEXs and things like Uniswap and the kind of niche DeFi space that's emerging. I want to go ahead and talk a little bit about Ampleforth. Now, I know many of you again know that I call for a trade on Ampleforth back here towards the low 60-cent range. Did pretty good on it. I took some profits, and unfortunately, I took it a little too early, around like $1.30. However, it has come back down towards a much normalized range here. I want to make 2 points here. Right, there's two things I want to talk about here. One is more of a lesson here in this case about how to actually go about properly trading in the market. And along with that as well, one key thing to take in mind here, even after this sell-off that we've seen here in Ampleforth as an asset. So first off here, I got to say I'm very confident and happy that we made the trade call that we did. I'm glad I shared it on the channel as well as with the newsletter. But the key thing here is that above all, as much as it can be sometimes people can be eager to just keep on riding a crypto and never take profits, and vice versa. Some people always just want to take profits. They're kind of like, oh my God, it's up, 2 or 3x. In this case, I got to lock in profits. One thing that I've learned over the years that's so true is take partial shares and keep in mind a stop loss. This is a very, very important thing. Now, when you're trading in the world of DEXs, of course, Ample's available on some exchanges, but it's actually most liquid on decentralized exchanges. There isn't always stop limits in this case, like traditional exchanges. That's important to keep in mind. I know there's some players and some projects that are working on doing that, but all in all here, right? If you're in these kind of volatile plays, you sometimes got to watch the market and you got to be able to take partial shares and let your winners ride. That was a big mistake I made on this trade. And I got to be honest, even though I made profit, I can't complain. I could have definitely made 2 or 3 times more in this case than what I made on this current trade that I made a couple of days ago, or that I originally started back in early August. Now, the second thing here is that a lot of people are going to look at Ampleforth and say, oh my gosh, it dumped. In this case, the rally's over in this case, and that, oh my God, a lot of the bulls who bought up here have lost. And that's actually not true, because Ampleforth has rebases where it adjusts its supply. So you cannot look at price solely when you're looking at Ampleforth. Key thing to look at here is market capitalization. And really what we've done is just faded down most of yesterday's gains. Ampleforth is still way up from when we first talked about it back on August 20th. Right down here. So again, this has been an overwhelmingly positive play. It's been one of the best performers in the market. And again, it has all the things that check off what I look for when we're starting off a bull run here. It's a new type of asset. There's a ton of copycats trying to duplicate what Ample does and doing it slightly different. And for me, I don't fall for the forex. I don't fall for the kind of reiterations of it, because anything that we learn from those are going to be implemented on Ampleforth, similar to how Lightning was implemented on Litecoin, and then we had it implemented on Bitcoin, right? Or excuse me, not Lightning, blanking right now. Segwit, my apologies, which did make Lightning possible. But keeping this in mind here, right? All in all, it's very, very important to keep your mind open to new types of assets. I'm not saying that Ampleforth is going to be here in the next 5-10 years. All I'm saying is that it's doing something interesting and unique. And the dynamics of how it adjusts in this case to market demand and also market supply on the sell side is very, very interesting. But all this together, guys, has caused a crazy environment Again, Ampleforth is just as much of a part of this world of decentralized exchanges and DeFi as sushi and all the crazy different copycat altcoins that are coming onto Uniswap. But the key thing that I think is just crazy here is that how much of Uniswap is taking up the network here. It's 26% in the last 3 hours, and that's a cool down from when it was around 29% last night. Last 24 hours is 27. It's beyond what Tether consumes. And Kimchi as well is another kind of like sushi swap. There's all kinds of different things. Harvest Finance. You can see here kind of what's trending here, what's coming up. But just for perspective, Aave is consuming 0.58% of the network. Uniswap, 26.02%. And the gas fees right now are insane. Just to send a standard average transaction, it's going to cost you $5-6 if you want to get it instantly settled. Absolutely insane, guys. I've never seen anything like it. This is beyond the gas consumption. I'll actually pull it up here. This is beyond the gas consumption or the total gas expenditure. For example, we can look at transactions here. We have now more transactions than where we had back here in December and January, if you can believe it, right? About the same range here, around 1,250,000 transactions over the last 24 hours. Crazy. And the thing is, this isn't just sending ETH back and forth. This is decentralized trades. These are people engaging in actual financial activities outside of just bouncing around ETH. And if you want to see the average gas price here, the GUE, basically the cost in this case to do transactions in the Ethereum network, look at this. Average GUE price yesterday was 445, a new record that we haven't seen in a very long period of time. Of course, there's these anomalies here, but like it's real substantial increase in gas price. This is the most we've ever seen. It's absolutely phenomenal, guys. Now, I know some of you guys are skeptics on DeFi. If you're not interested in this stuff, that's fine. I think it's understandable. It's early stage. You have to be skeptical. And along with that as well, some of you guys don't want to pay these crazy gas fees and you just want to trade some cryptocurrencies. So if you're looking to do that, you can always check out our sponsor, Bitpanda Pro. And Bitpanda Pro is not only one of the major European exchanges, many people call them the European Coinbase, but along with that as well, you get access to a wide range of fiat on-ramps and different types of cryptocurrencies that you know and love. So if you're interested, you can check them out down below in the description. But all in all, guys, this is just absolutely insane. I don't really know how to put it in words. There is so much going on between a lot of these tokens. I'll say above all, though, guys, I'm just going to lay it to you straight. I would never lie to you guys. A ton of it's speculation, right? It's gotten to a point here, and again, I didn't expect it to ramp up this quick for the bull market. We talked about this for the last year. We've been talking about DeFi and enterprise blockchain. But it's incredible to see the kind of wave of speculation, 98% of it speculation, but the 2 to 5%, that's not a part of that equation on the other end, is actual innovation. And it's really interesting to see what's being built here. And I'm excited to see that number, that very small number, hopefully grow to a larger percentage of the pie. And even if it doesn't, at the end of everything, right, it's going to probably be a net benefit with some of the technologies we get out of this. So it's really cool. And all in all, I'm a trader at the end of the day. Yeah, sure, there's speculation. But if I bet I can lead the market in this case, if I bet I can find a good trade, if I can do my due diligence and do the research and catch on to the next wave early on, yeah, I'll probably take upon that opportunity. But bear in mind, you always want to make sure, guys, when you're trading these new tokens and stuff, make sure they're audited to a degree. Make sure that, again, they're safe and they're not going to be, a project that's going to end you up with, making a 50% return and then it going to nothing, right? You always have to be very, very skeptical in these early days. Again, trust but verify at the end of the day. It's a very important thing when it comes to crypto. All right, guys, enough rambling from me. Hope you all are having a fantastic day wherever you are, and I'll see you all in the next video. Stay tuned, everyone.